Chapter 9. They started the rebuilding of the windmill the day after the victory celebrations. Boxer's split hoof took a long time to heal, but he never let the others see that he was in pain. Clover urged Boxer to work less. "A horse's lungs do not last forever," she said to him. But Boxer refused to take even a day off work. "I want to help rebuild the windmill before I retire," he said. There had been much talk about retirement in the early days of Animal Farm. Generous old age pensions had been agreed upon. Every animal would receive more than enough corn, hay, and oats. As yet, no animal had actually retired on a pension. Boxer's 12th birthday was due in the late summer of the following year. Meanwhile, life was hard. The winter was cold and food supplies short. Once again, all rations were reduced, except those of the pigs and the dogs. "Those comrades need extra," said Squealer. "The rest of you have plenty." Reading out the figures in a shrill, rapid voice, Squealer explained how much better they lived now than they had in Jones's day. "You have more oats, more hay, and more turnips. You work shorter hours. You have better drinking water. You even live longer." The animals believed every word of it. Jones and all he stood for had almost faded out of their memories. They knew that life nowadays was harsh. They were often hungry and often cold. They were usually working when they were not asleep. Everyone agreed, though, it had been worse in the old days. Then they had been slaves, and now they were free. "That makes all the difference," as Squealer liked to point out. About this time, a new rule was introduced. When a pig and any other animal meet on the path, the other animal must stand aside, explained Squealer. Pigs can also wear green ribbons on their tails on Sundays. Late one evening in the summer, 2 pigeons flew into the farmyard with alarming news. "Boxer has fallen. He's lying on his side and can't get up." The animals rushed out to where the windmill was being rebuilt. There lay Boxer, covered in sweat. His neck was stretched out, and he was unable to even raise his head. A thin stream of blood trickled out of his mouth. "Boxer," cried Clover, dropping to her knees beside him. "It's my lung," said Boxer in a weak voice. "It does not matter. I think you'll be able to finish the windmill without me." All the other animals immediately raced back to the farmhouse to give Squealer the news. Only Clover and Benjamin remained. Without speaking, Benjamin used his long tail to keep the flies off his old friend. "I think the time has come for my retirement," whispered Boxer. "Perhaps they will let Benjamin retire at the same time and be a companion to me." After what seemed like a long time, Squealer appeared, full of sympathy and concern. "Comrade Napoleon has learned with the very deepest distress of this misfortune to one of the most loyal workers on the farm," he said. "He is already making arrangements to send Boxer to be treated in the hospital at Willingdon." The animals felt a little uneasy at this. They did not like to think of their sick comrade in the hands of human beings. "Don't worry," said Squealer smoothly.
Boxer will receive the very best care.
It was in the middle of the day when the van came to take him away. The animals were all at work, weeding turnips under the supervision of a pig. They were astonished to see Benjamin come galloping from the direction of the farm buildings, braying at the top of his voice. "Quick, quick!" he shouted. "Come at once! They're taking Boxer away!" Without waiting for orders from the pig, the animals broke off work and raced back to the farm buildings. Sure enough, there in the yard was a large closed van drawn by 2 horses, and Boxer's store was empty. The animals crowded round the van. "Goodbye, Boxer!" "Fools!" shouted Benjamin, prancing around them and stamping the earth with his small hooves. "Do you not see what is written on the van?" There was a hush. Muriel began to spell out the words, but Benjamin pushed her aside, and in the midst of a deadly silence he read, "Alfred Simmons, horse slaughterer and glue boiler." A cry of horror burst from all the animals. At this moment, the van driver whipped up his horses, and the van moved out of the gate. All the animals followed, crying out at the top of their voices. Clover forced her way to the front. The van began to gather speed. "Boxer!" she cried. "Boxer! Boxer!" Just at this moment, Boxer's face, with the white stripe down his nose, appeared at the small window at the back of the van. "Boxer! Get out! Get out quickly! They're taking you to your death!" But the van was already gathering speed and drawing away from them. It was uncertain whether Boxer had understood what Clover had said, but a moment later his face disappeared from the window, and there was the sound of a tremendous drumming of hooves inside the van. He was trying to kick his way out, but alas, his strength had left him, and in a few moments the sound of drumming hooves grew fainter and fainter and died away. Boxer's face did not reappear at the window. The van disappeared into the distance. Boxer was never seen again. 3 days later, it was announced that Boxer had died in the hospital at Willingdon. Squealer came to announce the news to the others. "I was at his bedside at the very last," he said, lifting his trotter and wiping away a tear. "His last words were, 'Long live Comrade Napoleon.'" Here, Squealer's demeanour suddenly changed. He fell silent for a moment, and his little eyes darted suspicious glances from side to side. "I have heard a foolish and wicked rumour that Boxer was sent away to be slaughtered. Some very stupid animals were confused by the words on the van. They described the business of the former owner." The animals were enormously relieved to hear this. "Comrade Napoleon did everything he could," they told each other. "Boxer died happy. Napoleon himself gave the eulogy at the next Sunday morning meeting. He ended by saying, "The way every comrade should honour our dear boxer is to live by his very wise words. I will work harder and, most importantly, Comrade Napoleon is always right."